So, like most people, I'm a huge fan of Steve Jobs. There's this quote I came across earlier this week that kind of struck a chord with me, and it kind of inspired this whole video actually. And it said, asking for help is a superpower. I've never come across anyone who didn't help me when I asked them for it. And then he goes on to talk about like how he asked for like laptops or something from from the current president of HP at the time, or like supplies and an internship, and he got them. And that's kind of like that's cool, but I think it speaks to something bigger, which is what this video is actually about. And it's the fact that if you actually want to do something big in whatever venture, you kind of don't even have an option besides asking for help. Even as kids, and we don't even really shed this notion away, the idea that you can do something big. You're told, oh, you can be an astronaut, you can be anything you want to be. And that kind of stays with you, even though it's not necessarily true. Successful people all the time will say stuff like, if you just work hard enough and put the grind in, you're gonna make it. And that's just not true because of survivorship bias, obviously. Only successful people are asked, how did you do it? No one is looking for the countless others who failed. And if you want to be one of the successful people, naturally, you're going to do everything you can to become successful. And if Steve Jobs is saying asking for help is one of these key factors, you kind of have to listen to that. I was having an interesting conversation with one of my friends earlier this week about how it kind of feels like people were way smarter in the past. And that's, well, it's obviously not true. I'm going to throw up some statistics here about the Flynn effect. And it's actually pretty crazy to think about it. But every like decade, the average IQ goes up like 3.3 points. If you are watching this right now and you went into the early 1900s, you'd be considered a genius. And if you're an average person. So if you're above average, you'd obviously be considered way smarter. There's even this website that shows you what people who are your age or younger have accomplished. It's depressing. What people your age or younger have accomplished at that age. And you're gonna find like this guy discovered an element at like 14 or something. It's insane. Now connecting that to asking for help. So yeah, you want to be one of those players, or you want to be a musician, or you want to be something, whatever you want to be. You'd naturally compare yourself to whoever the top is at that game. And you're just not, that's not you. You're not that guy.
I'm the guy.
Stop saying you're the guy. We all know that you're not the guy.
He's not the guy. I am.
And you are?
I'm the guy. The real guy.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay?
And that's not to say that if you aren't born a genius or intergenerational wealth, that you won't be able to achieve the things that you want to achieve. It just means that it'll be a lot harder for you, and you have to make use of every ability that you can to achieve your goal. And I think asking for help is the most underutilized of those abilities. Yeah, so I did this little experiment with a couple of my friends who are talented in pretty uniquely different areas. And I asked them whether asking for help is their first reaction to encountering a problem, or even just when it comes to trying to accomplish something. And the natural inclination is just not to. So even though it's logical to ask for help when you're trying to do something difficult, it's not really the first reaction for most people, including myself. And there's literally no disadvantages. It's all benefits, which is probably the strangest part about this whole thing. You know that you want to do something difficult, you want to do something big, and you know you might not be able to do it by yourself, and asking for help would always lead you to a better outcome than the one that you're in. You might not make it 100% all the way just instantly, but you definitely be better off. So it's kind of even illogical, given that we know that asking for help in the pursuit of accomplishing something huge or trying to overcome a problem is always going to leave us better off than we were initially. Obviously, you're not going to get to 100% immediately, but you know, you'll be better off. You'll have a way forward, or you essentially just might have a better vision of what you're trying to do. Which leads me to the next part of the video, trying to actually, you know, act on it and see what happens. So the way that you might ask for help will probably vary completely from the way another person might do it. You're obviously going to be at different stages of the things that you want to achieve than anyone else. But what I've done is chosen aspects of my life that I want to improve on, that I feel like I've stagnated in especially, and identified how I'm going to actually progress in these things. Okay, so what I've done is chosen 3 aspects that I'd like to improve on. And I'm just going to go about strategically asking for help in those 3 aspects. But the first one is machine learning and the hardware. Writing software is cool and all, but there's a certain appeal that you get with hardware. What machine learning can do for me and Cupid is allow us to represent people's personalities as they are, constantly changing, and allow us to keep up with that. Oh yeah, and if you didn't already know, Cupid is the startup I'm building that combines dating and events, so feel free to download it in the link in the description, because I'm going to be talking about it a lot on this channel. Okay, so the next 2 aspects that I'm going to be acting on are also kind of intertwined with Cupid, given that Cupid is a creative-centric platform. We really need creatives to give their input in terms of how we're going to be developing the app for their actual benefit. I've also decided to kind of hone in on the aspects of my life that I'd consider creative. And so those 2 are art and guitar. I had a friend text me this meme about like every 20-year-old or something, and how like they just don't know, they buy a guitar and don't know how to play it. That's literally me. There's always going to be an excuse for why you're not going to work on the things you need to work on. And I think for guitar, I have 1,000,001. So yeah, what I'm going to be doing for guitar is just asking people who I know who are better than me to just literally just track my progress. And also more generally, just for pointers and tips. And for arts/drawing, I'm kind of relating that with the hardware. So given that I want to work on creating actual hardware, even just for mock-ups and things like that, I think having a good foundation, or just a basic foundation in drawing, would be really important, just so I can actually conceptualize the things that I want to try and create. So the follow-up to this video is going to be showing my progression and showing how asking for help has actually like furthered the development in all of those individual skills. I do think that asking for help very deliberately, obviously you can do it passively, but I think asking for help very deliberately requires you to be at a certain point in your progression of anything really. So I've chosen areas that I'm either new at or have stagnated in. I think that's a really good point to be asking for help in. Asking for help when you're already a pro at something, obviously you're still gonna have benefits, but it'll they probably won't be as visible. The main takeaway from the quote itself is the fact that there's no disadvantages. You literally have nothing to lose and everything to gain, so do with that what you will.